As we continue to honor Black History Month, a discovery by a local historian shows an influential leader of the Underground Railroad had ties to Minnesota's capital city. At a presentation tomorrow, Karen Sieber will share her findings on the state's connection to freeing slaves in the mid-1800s. I talked with her for a preview. What role did Minnesota play in the Underground Railroad?
Up until previously, it was thought that the role was minimal. It was assumed that, like you said, this was a place of refuge. But we also know historically that there was at least some activity here in the Underground Railroad. Just this past year, have discovered that quite a major player in the Underground Railroad, who was previously thought to be further south down the river, was actually here in St. Paul during the territorial years of the state.
That major player was Moses Dixon, a famous figure in America's Black history.
He was a Black abolitionist. He led two secret societies that were founded out of Galena and St. Louis that were used to organize both free and enslaved people throughout the United States.
Early research placed him in cities along the Mississippi River. He's buried in St. Louis and helped establish a college there.
But I found him here in territorial St. Paul in the 1850s, operating as a barber, which we know is a common profession for folks working in the Underground Railroad. Previously, before working as a barber, he worked as a steward on the steamboats.
Sieber shared newspaper clippings from the future capital city referencing Dixon, leading her to believe his network of freeing slaves had vast reach up north, where his work was needed more than people might realize.
I think a lot of people grow up in the north thinking that, the Underground Railroad, once you get to the north, across that line, that things are fine and good. But the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 really changed that. And the fact that regardless of how far you got into the north and into the wilderness, that you could still be brought back to that life.
So the threat of being sent back south remained even if you were in Minnesota.
Yeah, we know that the sheriff at the time during those territorial years was vigilant about trying to catch folks. Sieber shares more about the routes taken to reach freedom in Minnesota while dispelling myths about the Underground Railroad tomorrow night at the History Center of Olmsted County in Rochester. Tickets to attend cost $5 for non-members. You can also join via Zoom for the same price. It runs from 7 p.m. to 8:30, and we have details on WCCO.com.